Hey guys, how's it going? Today on the bench we have one of the quirkiest watches I've repaired on this channel. The Seiko 6106-7570. This watch is part of the Advan series that was Seiko's avant-garde line from the early 70s, a time when Seiko decided to go completely off script. Eccentric and bold design, faceted crystals, asymmetric cases, futuristic dials. Basically the opposite of the minimalistic design language of Seikos and Grand Seikos from that time. And today I'm going to repair one. As with most watches that end up on my bench, this one's in a pretty rough shape. Scratches everywhere and the date change doesn't work. The movement doesn't look much better either. There is some oxidation on the balance wheel, which honestly looks kind of gross. And now let's start the dismantling. I will start by removing the oscillating weight. This movement has 25 joules and it beats at 21,600 beats per hour. It has a few complications such as day and date indicator with quick set and seconds hack. The dial matches the overall quirky vibe of this watch perfectly. It has huge hour markers, a bright metallic orange finish, and it has a stylized sun on top of the Advan logo, which is written in a futuristic font. It's definitely not a watch for everyone, but I think it can add a happy touch to a conservative watch collection. Before proceeding further, I check it on the time grapher. The reading is terrible. This watch is in a desperate need for a service. Looking at the watchmaker site, I can see so many similarities with the Grand Seiko 6145 caliber. I am quite sure that many parts were carried over from one to another, such as the automatic winding module you see here. I know this because I recently serviced the Grand Seiko 6145-8000 and I had to hunt for some parts for 6 months. In the end I could source them, but I paid a fortune. And now I realize I could have taken some from this cheaper 6106 caliber. Oh well, watchmaking is a continuous learning process, so next time I'll know better. I'm not 100% sure, but I suspect the ratchet wheel and train of wheels parts are also shared with the Grand Seiko 6145 or vice versa, as they look so similar. I mean, it definitely makes sense. Standardizing components across models is common in most industries. With the ratchet wheel and the click spring out of the way, I can remove the train of wheels bridge. And again, everything looks identical to the 61GS. It makes me wonder if the mainspring barrel will fit. I searched for one for ages, but they are impossible to find. And if you do find one, expect to pay at least €200. Switching to the dial side, here's the kanji and the English day disc. This means this specific watch is a JDM model, not for export. Export Advance had English only day discs, and as a matter of fact, they were made in small numbers, mainly sold across Asia, Australia and Europe, but not in the US. So if you are watching from the US and own one, drop a comment down below. You have a rare watch. Unfortunately, I also had a surprise. Seiko used 3 plastic parts here, all related to the day-date change mechanism. And of course, 2 of them were broken. I had to buy a donor movement which also had some damage, but after some tweaking I managed to make it work. I am genuinely curious about the price difference between a plastic and a metal part. As I said during the Omega restoration, plastic parts don't belong in a mechanical watch. They wear fast, they fail unpredictably, and they are just a disaster waiting to happen. I am now taking out the last bits of the keyless works. It's quite straightforward, very similar to the 6145 GS I mentioned before, except for this big spring I am removing now. Here are all the parts placed in the tray in the exact order of disassembly. I start cleaning them one by one using isopropyl alcohol for everything except the pallet fork. The pallet fork has two jewels held in place with an adhesive called shellac, which dissolves in the IPA. That's why for the pallet fork I am using lighter fluid instead. At first I am rubbing the jewels and the stuck gunk using a pegwood stick. Then I am using a brush to clean what's left. I also clean the oxidation from the oscillating weight. I actually have a spare one from the donor movement. I may replace it later with that one as it looks better. The mainspring barrel was also really dirty. It looks like this watch was not serviced in decades. I am always carefully taking out the mainspring and clean it, then reinstall it. That's always a tense moment. One slip and it jumps out. And trust me, it hurts if it hits you. Don't ask how I know this. I don't have a winder, so reinstalling the mainspring is, let's say, 50% luck, 50% skill. And then if it slips, 100% power of will. The case also needs serious TLC. It's dirty and full of scratches, so scratched that it lost its shine completely. I'm taking it apart so I can clean it and replace the scratched crystal. For cleaning, I use an ultrasonic cleaner. I add water and the soap from Citizen and let the parts vibrate for around 5 minutes. And here is the post-cleaning overview. It takes a while to arrange the parts like this, but I love the symmetry. Now that everything is nice and shiny, I can start the reassembly. As I explained earlier, parts are placed in the tray in the order I dismantle them, so it is really easy to find my way. As always, I start from the watchmaker's side. During reassembly, there is one extra step you must do: oiling and greasing. I've covered oiling in previous videos, so I'll skip the details. Just remember, less is better. Reassembly goes really quick. I am now putting back the mainspring barrel, followed by the train of wheels. This part, along with the balance wheel, is the most delicate stage. Those wheels have very fragile pivots, with diameters in the range of tenths of a millimeter. I've broken a few before. And you may wonder how I learned the pivot breaking lesson. Well, the pivots never go into the train of wheels bridge easily. A lot of fiddling is necessary. And if you torque the screws without a proper alignment, the pivots will break instantly. And guess what I did? One way to ensure everything is properly aligned is by gently moving the mainspring barrel back and forth. If all the wheels spin properly, then it is reassuring that everything is in the right place. And by the way, if you are wondering how I make those animations, let me briefly explain. The technique is called stop motion, and it is not filming but taking photos. To achieve this, the camera must stay perfectly still. I move the parts in small increments, taking a photo after each move. Each second of the video is made of 12 photos that I put together using Final Cut Pro, resulting in a video. It is time consuming, but I love it. If you enjoy it too, feel free to like and subscribe, it helps a lot. Now the moment of truth. Luckily, the balance wheel starts spinning right away. For me, this is the most satisfying moment in the watch repair process. Back to the dial side, I am starting by installing the Canon pinion and the keyless works. The keyless works is the mechanism that makes possible the time, day and date change. In the past, watches used a separate key to set the time. The modern crown mechanism was actually invented by Patek Philippe, making time setting much easier. The parts I am now installing are linking the clutch wheel to the Canon pinion. So when you turn the crown, the rotation is transmitted to the Canon pinion on which the minute hand is fixed. And that's how you change the minutes. As for the day change, it is handled by those plastic parts. As I explained earlier, I also had to get them from a donor movement. The dial side is almost completed. With the date wheel in place, I add the top plate that locks everything neatly together. Back to the watchmaker's side, the last piece of the puzzle is reinstalling the automatic winding mechanism that transfers the motion from the oscillating weight to the ratchet wheel and consequently winding the mainspring. And that completes the movement reassembly. Now it's time to put the movement back in the case. For the case, I did two things. At first, I replaced the crystal with a new one. This watch, in its original condition, had a multifaceted crystal. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an original one, so I replaced it with a flat sapphire instead. It is not pressure fit on this ring, but glued using UV curing adhesive. I am carefully applying the glue with an oiler, but the key point is to not apply too much, otherwise it will spill when you place the glass. It is a generic sapphire, probably Chinese. Nonetheless, it is a huge improvement over the scratched old one. With the glass in place, I am using the UV light to cure the glue. Another important point to mention is that this assembly is sealed. It is glued on top and it has a gasket below. At this point, the case was still unpolished. In fact, I put the case back and I was not happy how it looked. So I took it apart again and sanded it by hand from a low grit to a high grit. You'll see the final result at the end. With the case and the movement finished, I can now put back the dial. It was a bit dirty, so I carefully swiped it with a bit of water. It is not perfect, but for a 50 years old watch that once targeted younger buyers, it aged beautifully. Nonetheless, I really like it. It has a radial pattern that reflects the light really nicely. As you may see, the case still shows some scratches, but the dial is the real star here anyway. And with this, dear watch enthusiasts, we are nearly done. I am fixing the last part of the movement, the oscillating weight. And now let me show you the final result after full servicing, cleaning and hand polishing it. It was a real pleasure working on this one. I love how it turned out. I already wore it and it complements really well a formal attire. It is different, quirky and it makes me smile every time I check the time. On the time grapher I adjusted the bitrate and gain. However, the amplitude is still low. I checked a bit online and I learned that it is typical for this watch. Nonetheless, I think I will service it again sometime next year and replace the mainspring to see if I can improve it further. So guys, as always, thank you for watching and I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one, because next on the bench is something truly iconic, the Seiko 6139 6000. See you soon, cheers!